I'm so excited because joining us via Skype right now, you know how I always talk about the fact that there are some amazing teachers out there. And we have one with us, Elizabeth Douge. I hope I said it right. Did I get it right?
Yes, you got it right. Thank you.
And you won a Teacher of the Year award this last year. So first of all, we want to start by congratulating you and saying yippee, because we love it when good teachers are acknowledged and rewarded for their good work. So thank you so much for your good work, and I'm thrilled that you got rewarded for it. Tell our viewers a little bit about the award and what you do.
Well, I was amazed to get the award because I really wasn't expecting it. Last summer around this time, I did a lot of personal research on effective classroom strategies for kids with autism. And the motto that I created last year was setting students up for success.
Love it. Love it.
That's the lens by which I view classroom instruction, because I think one of the problems is we accidentally, as educators, set students up for failure. But especially when dealing with kids with autism. But if you create programs with that as your vision, setting students up for success, it's amazing. It's amazing what can take place in the classroom. So that was my motto for the entire school year. And in everything that I did, I asked myself, okay, if I create this type of a lesson plan, will that set a child up for success or failure? If my staff is not adequately trained by me, will that set my kids up for success or failure? If I'm not adequately versed on behavior intervention strategies and just different classroom approaches, what will that set my kids up for? And that was my vision for the whole year.
Well, it's a beautiful vision. And one of the things I like about it is it's very simplistic, but man, it really cuts to what we all want to do.
Exactly.
So, and we were talking earlier about how once you put focus on something and once you get clear on something, I imagine it just moves you in a direction that much faster.
Precisely. And the whole point was for me to get something that was straight to the point, because with my background in academia, I've been given a lot of theory. And the theory sounds very good. It looks very beautiful on paper. It looks very good on textbooks. But in practice, some of that is not as applicable as I would like it to be. So I wanted something that you can put into practice and that was effective, that wasn't just theory,
Wonderful.
but that led to results. And we got some amazing results out of our kids this year. It was fabulous.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to start by talking about what population are you serving as a teacher?
I'm serving kids with autism. I've been working with autism now for 7 years. But I also have some students who are not autistic, but who've benefited from some of the interventions that we use in our program.
And are your kids, are some of them included? Do you have a mix of kids that are going to special day programs and inclusion?
Basically, most of my students, I have 16. We started out with 12 and it went up to 16. Most of them are in the special day class all day, but we do have kids who mainstream out. It just depends on, the individual case.
Okay.
That's something, though, that we will be changing this year. We're going to do a lot more inclusion this year. Last year, my focus was more so on getting some of the behaviors under control and getting the academic learning, increasing some of the communication skills. But now that they're communicating more, now that we're seeing, some of our kids who are nonverbal, they're speaking a lot more. And now that their behaviors are more socially appropriate, this year we're going to do a lot more mainstreaming.
And what school district do you work with, Elizabeth?
I work in Desert Mountain region for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
And so we should let it, because we're watched internationally. That's in California, Southern California, very removed from, not very removed, but you're quite a ways from LA.
Yes.
So that we let people know what's happening in your area of the woods. And you said you got some great results. So you had some kids who were nonverbal and now their functional communication is raised considerably?
Yes, I wouldn't say that it's at their appropriate age level. However, we've seen some kids who've gone from not communicating at all to using words and, communicating with us. The main thing that I did was I created the classroom in a way that was very language enriched.
Yeah.
And in addition to using PECs and some, communication devices, I also invested into language-specific curriculum.
Uh-huh.
One was actually an ELD curriculum, which is designed for students who are second language learners. But I found that the methods that are used to teach second language learners are very useful for children with autism. So we incorporated that into our classroom, even though most of our students are not second language learners. I also used a program called Language for Learning, and we do this every day. And it's a language curriculum that goes from receptive skills, just touch the truck, touch the tree, all the way up to speaking in sentences. So having those curriculum together and using them every day in the classroom, we saw kids communicating a lot more.
This makes me so excited because, there's so much fear and trepidation for parents when they're sending their child off to school, and, you don't know what you're going to get. And I always like to remind people there's a possibility that their child is going to land in a classroom with someone like you, somebody who gets it, somebody who's passionate, who I can just imagine that you're the kind of teacher that during your time that's off, you're constantly problem solving.
In fact, that's what I've been doing. This is summer. I'm supposed to be on break, and I'm like sitting at my computer and I'm doing research on autism. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all sorts of, websites looking for different approaches to try with our kids. And this year, my biggest goal is to bring more science and technology into the classroom, because I know that that's where it's at. I know that that's where a lot of the success is, and I believe that our kids can really become, great inventors, mathematicians. I believe in them. They just need to be given a shot.
I agree with you too, and my goodness, you make me so excited. And you and I had talked about this earlier before we came live on the air, that you're really interested in research. So tell us a little bit about that.
When I first started teaching autism, it was very difficult, very, very hard, because a lot of what I learned in my credential classes, they were very good for, let's say, more general ed students or, disabled students who were not impacted by some of the issues related to autism. And I also learned a lot of different strategies such as PECs, structured teaching. But my challenge was, how do we take all of these methodologies and put them together to create autism classrooms? And it's actually a challenge in the autism world, and that's why I believe in more autism awareness. But I want to see more of the research on autism therapies. I want to see them better applied in the classroom. What we've seen is a lot of kids who do very well in a one-on-one therapeutic session, but the minute they come into the classroom, sometimes we see a disconnect between what they're achieving in a therapy session and what's going on in the classroom. I feel we need to collaborate more as educators, as therapists, speech therapists, ABA therapists, etc., and work together and create programs that will effectively help our kids in the classroom, not just within a therapeutic setting. So that's where my research is right now.
Well, I see why you won awards, and you're going to win more because you're an incredible young woman. One of our viewers wants to know how old the kids are that you deal with.
Right now, I have grades 2nd through 6th.
Okay.
I've had kindergarten before as well, and I've worked with high school aged autistic students, but right now they're grades 2nd through 6th.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So let's talk a little bit about this, setting kids up for success. I told you that's success in the classroom is really our topic this entire week, and we've been talking to parents and educators about this is the ideal time, right?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy, because it's a little ways before we get back to school, but we've been giving them ideas about things to do to get our kids set up for success in the fall. So what are a couple of tips that you could be, that a parent could be doing that you would recommend for success right now?
Well, I think that social stories are very helpful. If you have a child who you've seen has benefited from social stories in the past, I think that would help a lot. I think that the biggest problem with kids with autism that breaks my heart is their level of anxiety. So whatever a parent can do to create an environment where they're not anxious about going to school. Usually our kids, when they're too anxious about going to school, that's when we see a lot of their behavior problems occurring. So if we could just talk about school as being a safe place, school as being a caring place, school as being a place for learning. And I think it's essential, too, for parents to contact their teachers well in advance and collaborate with their teachers and see, what does your classroom look like? What are the ways that I can prepare my child for your classroom ahead of time? The challenge is we don't know what each classroom looks like. And as a result of that, it's hard for me to tell you, what to say to your child. But if you know ahead of time what type of program they're going into, then you can kind of prepare your child for that.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. I love it. Now, when your kids, before they start school in the fall, will they have an opportunity to come and see the classroom before they come to school the first day?
I believe I have an open door policy with my parents. I've always said that if a parent is excluded from a classroom, that bothers me. A parent should always be able to come into the classroom and be able to volunteer and see what's going on. So they'll definitely have an opportunity to come ahead of time and whenever they want and see exactly how our program is run. If the parent, again, knows how the program is run, then they'll know how to prepare their child for the classroom. They'll know, okay, in the morning time, you're going to do circle time, you're going to have math time. This is the behavior expectation we have of you when you're in class that day. But the parent really needs to be in the classroom to see what's going on.
Well, my biggest question for you is how can we clone you?
Oh, gosh.
Because we need an army of you. And you mentioned that you're training your staff. What suggestions can you give other teachers and other administrators of other schools to be implementing the kinds of things that you're doing?
Well, I have amazing administrators, and we actually have Fridays as our minimum day, so we can utilize Fridays to train our staff members. But it's worth it to have well-trained staff. If you are a district and you are working with children with autism and your staff members are not well-trained, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You really are, and you're setting your district up for failure. Everyone needs to be very well-versed on autism. These kids are very different, and they can do so much if we know how to work with them. So I think that the minimum days that we have, they're very helpful because we can train our staff. If districts have program specialists, especially if they're BCBAs, get them out into the classroom and have them work with your teachers. We have to be very humble. I never feel like I know everything. I'm willing to take advice from anybody. And so we have to have that level of humility to where, we are willing to learn new strategies. But administrators, get your people trained.
And you are studying right now, you're working to getting your BCBA, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, I think that you're amazing, and I look forward to when I get to meet you face to face. And I hope that you will let us know when you have a question, because we would love to answer any questions, and we have people here that specialize in research from time to time. So please let us know if there's a question that you can answer, and I would love to count you as a resource here on the show, that if we have a question for you, that we can call you as well.
No problem. If any parents have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel to check out my Facebook page. I'm more than happy to answer questions because this is about getting these kids a better education experience.
You are remarkable, and I'm so thrilled that you're so young. Take care of yourself and live long. We need you. We need you a long time because I can see you training the core of teachers and educators that our kids need.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.